Hi everyone, this is Donna at Perillo Eats. We have Ashley here who is our local chef from the island of Oahu. She's gonna run us through a few different recipes that we can make here in our kitchen and something that's super simple for you guys to learn how to make at home.
We are today going to be cooking Kalua pig, which is a staple for pretty much any big family gathering or party here in Hawaii. And then to accompany that, we are going to be doing poke, which is raw fish, and then served with mac salad and rice. So I have been in the restaurant industry for over 20 years. I moved to Hawaii about 23 years ago and definitely just got immersed into the food scene right away. I just think you can learn so much about the culture and everything with it. So I met my husband shortly after I moved here, and his family is Hawaiian. Their heritage was that they were the warriors for King Kamehameha. So I learned a lot of culture through them. They also did like a bunch of luau's and baby parties for people. So that is where I learned how to cook authentic Hawaiian food. All right, so today we are going to start with the Kalua pork. So for a classic luau, you would cook the pork in an imu, which is basically digging a big hole. You put lava rock in there. You get pork butt, pork shoulder, basically the fattiest part of the pork. A lot of locals that enjoy hunting will actually go catch the wild boar themselves and prepare it that way. And you would basically slow cook this underneath lava rocks and tea leaves, and that would just naturally give it the smoky flavor. So if you're in like an actual restaurant, you can't do that. It goes against the health code standards. So we are going to show you a Instant Pot version to do it. So you're going to want, like I said, the fattiest version of pork or wild boar that you can find. Add it into your pot. So you always want to put the fat on top so it will kind of cook through the meat as it is cooking.
All right, so for our Kalua pork, we're using about 3.25 pounds of pork. We also are going to be using some sea salt, black peppercorn, liquid smoke. So this is the mesquite flavor, garlic powder, onion powder, and seasoned salts for our lineup here.
So then our simple seasoning, not everybody is going to do it exactly this way, but this is going to make it super tasty. We always use Lawry's as our seasoned salt, and we do a very small amount of that. It's more just for the flavor. And then equal parts of onion powder, granulated onion. You can honestly be pretty generous with the onion and the granulated garlic because they just add a lot of extra flavor. So just right on top, it doesn't need to be mixed in or anything. And then we're gonna do some pepper, not too much pepper. You can always add more pepper later if you want to, but just a little bit of pepper to get that flavor in there. I probably made this dish about 10,000 times over the last 6 years, so I just kind of have it in my head. So the coarse sea salt in Hawaii, we call it lae, is actually from the islands. So you want to get some thick, chunky salt in there. So I'm going to be more generous with this than I was the Lawry's because that just kind of makes it. And then since we are not cooking this under lava rocks, we are going to add our own liquid smoke. So this little nugget is wonderful. Again, very generous with the smoke because that's kind of the beauty of Kalua pork is that smoky flavor. It's going to be very tender when it comes out, nice and smoky. I used almost the whole bottle. So, and then we're just going to put water in here. Yeah, I know, right? So I did like half a pot of water, and I'm gonna lock this into place. And we're just gonna go to slow cook right here. We're gonna do high, and then we're gonna do 2 hours. So that's hours. Okay, yeah. So that's just gonna do its thing and cook.
So I know here you asked us for the Maui onion. Did not have it. I picked out a sweet onion. Is that
perfect?
Kind of
yeah,
for home?
Maui onions are known for being sweet. So for the mac salad, we're just gonna shred a little bit of onion and carrots. I usually do this in a food processor, but this works as well.
We're probably gonna start to cry too.
Right. I don't know, onions like don't affect me. And then we're gonna do basically the same amount of carrot. Yeah, I'd say in the end, you don't even really notice that the onions and carrots are in the mac salad. It's just kind of like my secret weapon. Right, so the base, of course, is mayonnaise. So this is our family recipe. This is not going to be the same recipe that you get for every plate lunch place that you visit. But I will say that people absolutely get addicted to my mac salad, even when they don't normally like it. And have been begging for this recipe for years, and I would never give it away. So sugar, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of sweetness to it. Honestly, I usually just kind of eyeball everything, but we'll go ahead and do 1 tablespoon of sugar. So it's really just like an underlying sweetness. You don't want it to be too over the top. And then again, we're gonna use our Lowry's salt. So not too much, you don't want this overly salty. And then my other secret ingredient is pepper. I put in a lot of pepper into the sauce. So then milk is just gonna make it nice and creamy. So that's another thing some people don't use. But for me, I found that it was just perfect. So you don't want it to be like sauce, like super soupy, but it's just enough to really. So as long as you can like see the big chunks of pepper in there, then I would say that's a good amount of pepper for you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Noodles. So once our macaroni is done boiling, a little al dente, we're gonna get a little steam bath here. We're gonna get the coldest water that we can get to blanch it so that it stops cooking and that we can have the mayo sauce stick to it a little bit better.
Blanch, they're nice and cold. We're gonna add those carrots and onions that we shredded earlier. Secret ingredient number 3 is apple cider vinegar. So this one kind of catches people off guard sometimes, but it just adds this little extra tang that you're not going to find in most mac salads. So, yeah. And then we're going to refrigerate this while we wait for everything to cook.
What makes this rice the rice that you guys
Cow
use?
roast rice, I think because it's extra sticky for some reason. That's what I've gotten out of the word cow roast. But yeah, every Hawaiian meal basically is made with rice, and we call it Hawaiian sticky rice. Definitely has a lot more moisture in it than a lot of places that you'll eat rice. So rule of thumb, however much you're making, you're gonna do basically like 1 part rice to 1.5 parts water. So we'll do 2 cups maybe? All right, so 3 cups of water. And then I'm just gonna pop it in here, press cook, and let that do its thing. Usually takes about a half hour or so. So poke is fresh fish. Ahi tuna is the most well-known type of fish used, but you can really use any type of fish. So Hawaii is definitely known for some of the freshest fish in the world. And that's where poke originally came from, was Hawaiians were fishermen. They spent a lot of their time on the beach in the water, and they would literally take their fresh catch out of the ocean and cut out the meat, cut it into little cubes, which is what poke means, the cubed piece. Add just a little bit of super fresh sea salt from the beach, and that's what poke originally was. So the sauce is going to be sesame oil and shoyu, also known as soy sauce. We always use Aloha. It just has its own flavor. So it's basically going to be 2 parts sesame oil, 3 parts shoyu sauce. And again, I'm eyeballing it, but if you wanted to use like tablespoons, that's how you would do it. That sesame oil just gives it kind of a good like nutty flavor. And then just a little bit of red pepper flakes, not enough to make it spicy, but it does add like a good little flavor to it. So let your sauce just kind of marinate off to the side. And then in the restaurants in Hawaii, we always try to get our fresh fish from the fishermen. They literally will just call you up and say, hey, this is what I have, and then that's what you use in the restaurant. If you are on the mainland or just doing it at home, you're gonna wanna go to the store and get like a sashimi grade version of ahi. That's gonna come out tasting the best, and it's just like butter. It's soft, it melts in your mouth. So we have two different cuts. This one is already basically cut into sashimi, so if you want, you could just cut it like that to get the sashimi, but we're gonna poke it. This one is the same thing. This is the same part of the fish as this is, but this is a much bigger fish. So this right here is the belly. We're gonna cut the belly off, and we're gonna keep it for later. So tomorrow we're gonna make fried ahi tacos. I also have been taught to make my poke cubes small. That way you get the most of the fish flavor in those cubes, and then it soaks up the sauce that you're putting in there. So as you saw, it was a very basic sauce because you want that good fish flavor in there. So for me, like the smaller the cube, the better. Some people like to do big chunky cubes, but my family taught me small cubes. Again, Maui onion is just a sweet, whitish, yellowish onion, and it complements the fish great. You want to make sure it's nice and crisp. I like the bigger pieces like this. I just kind of break it up and put it in there. But you could also mince it up a little bit if you want, but I like to get that big crunch. So poke needs to marinate for 7 minutes minimum. So that's what's gonna give you the right timing to soak in the right amount of flavor from sauce. So this is the shoyu and sesame oil that we mixed together earlier, and it does tend to separate, so you just kind of mix it up. And then you add it to your fish. Again, we really wanna get that fish flavor, so we don't wanna drown it in sauce, but you do want it to kind of soak in and marinate to the onions and all of that as well. So yeah, at this point you could also add seaweed, inamona, cucumbers go good. If you wanted to add a little spice, then I would add like a tablespoon of mayonnaise to your sauce, and depending how spicy, I would do 2 tablespoons of sriracha. And that little extra combo there is gonna give you a good, creamy, spicy tuna recipe. 7 minutes or longer if you're waiting for the party to happen or taking it to lunch, but at least 7 minutes is the key number. An hour or 2 I like to do overnight if possible, because then it just holds the mac salad sauce on there better. Definitely don't want to do it when the noodles are still hot or warm, because it will just melt that mayonnaise. And then you're just gonna fold it in to the noodles. So the mac salad just really complements all of our plate lunch things, whether it's roast pork, teriyaki chicken, kalbi ribs. It's a good combo with the rice. So we're just waiting on the Kalua pork to finish up, and the crock pot has about a half hour. We're gonna open that up, and the way to tell if it's ready is basically just very tender, like shredded style pork. So it just kind of starts to fall apart as it cooks correctly. If it's like any types of like cubes or you have to cut it, it's definitely not ready. You'll just put it back in with a little more water. I want it to get as tender as possible.
So all 3 of the things that we made today, so the Kalua pork, the mac salad, and the poke, are all things that you can make in advance, and they're the types of foods that the longer that they kind of sit, maybe with the exception of the poke, I won't let that sit too long, but the longer that they sit, the better they taste. Ashley, thank you so much for being here and
thank
for
you
doing
for
all
having
the
me.
things. We're so excited to eat all this food, and if you get to try any of these recipes, let us know how they go in the comments, and we can't wait to hear how they go.
Yeah. So in Hawaii we say a hui ho, which is not goodbye, but see you later.
So here we have our poke. We have our onions in here too. It has some beautiful, great depth of flavor. What we have on the side of it here are some chips. I love to have my poke with some chips to dip in. Here, I mean, it's super simple. If you wanted to add sesame seeds or green onions, you can do whatever, right? This is just the base. It's super, super easy. I'm super excited to eat this, and let's see how it tastes. Delicious. 10 out of 10. If you try to make this, let us know how it goes in the comments. If you have any questions, let us know. And stay tuned for our next recipe. All right, so for our next dish, we have our mac salad here. It's done resting, it's done hanging out in the fridge. It's perfect temperature. And like we mentioned before, super easy to prep in advance because the longer this sits, the better it will taste. Mac salad might get a little bit of a reputation that it might not be super healthy, but the way that we actually cook these noodles adds a lot of resistant starch, which is really great for our gut health. So when you heat pasta and then you cool it really quickly, that's what's giving us some resistant starch. So all foods can be part of a balanced, healthy diet. We're getting some carbs, we're getting some fat from here. And it's another great part that we can add to our meals. And again, super, super simple to make. The apple cider vinegar makes the flavors pop. You guys have to try this. It's so delicious. So here is our finished product of all of the different things that we made together. So here we have our Kalua pork. Here we have our mac salad, our tuna poke, and our rice finished product. Guys, the hardest part was sitting in here smelling how good this Kalua pork was gonna come out and having to wait 2 hours under the pressure cooker for it to be done. This was surprisingly super easy. This was the first time I've made anything like this, but easiest meal, delicious meal, and something that is going to impress anybody that you have that's coming over, or if it's just something to spice up your weekly routine. But I cannot tell you, sorry, we're outside, there's flies. I cannot tell you how easy this is and how I'm gonna recreate this as soon as I get home.